moly, de my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
Holy moly, de my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno. It's the sounds of sports fans everywhere. If not for the World Cup, we've hit the dry season. Baseball only. The U.S. Open. We've got, what? Home Run Derby. What are our highlights? NFL. Off-season workouts. I, for one, like preseason games, not going to lie. But we're there. Oh, no. The World Cup's been pretty good, though. What's up? Happy Monday. Hope you're doing well. We have an NBA champion. Congratulations to Mike Brown. I could not be more happy for him. I've said it since he took the job in New York. Dude's got the biggest set I know of. To go from working for Vivek Ranadive to James Dolan, number one, but James Dolan with the edict, championship or bust, and they get it done. Now, conversely, I knew the low-hanging fruit national journalists and people that hide behind their keyboards, keyboard warriors, would be putting out the tweets. Oh, the Kings are an NBA farm system for the NBA Finals. That's easy. That's low-hanging fruit. What I didn't know was the storyline coming out besides Jalen Brunson from these NBA Finals would be two past Kings. And I'm going to count Mike Brown as a King. De'Aaron Fox is taking it nationally. Some of it's fair. Some of it is not fair. And I'm going to tell you why the national media is a little late to that party. In fact, they are very late to that party. So we'll talk about it here in a few moments. Hope everybody stayed cool this weekend. It was hot. You know what? Once we get through like a week and a half where we're adjusted, we're habituated to the heat, then it's like, okay, whatever. And we move on. But that first like week and a half, oh my gosh. And your pools, they're not quite warm enough to get in comfortably. That's where we're at right now. So anyways, we kick off, and this is now the NBA draft. I'm going to call it draft week because the draft is exactly 1 week from, is it a week from today? Week and a day from today. And this is where you're going to see the smoke and mirrors. This is where teams are going to be putting stuff out. You're going to see Evan Sidery saying, oh, I've got a source of a source of a source, and all this crazy stuff to throw people off of the scent. The bottom line, the Kings with the 7th pick. As we sit right now, it looks like best available will line up with the position of need for the Kings, but here we go. Very important draft pick, huge draft pick for the Kings. And we have Jerry Reynolds this Wednesday. We will talk to him. It's the last time we will talk to Jerry before the draft. And I did talk, here's the important thing. I did talk to a scout this weekend about another point guard in the draft that some of you have been talking about, Mikel Brown Jr. So we're going to do some compare and contrast as the show goes along. But, you know, it is Monday, so we must start here. We're going to get one more of these after this one before the draft. Scott Perry, Motivational Mondays. This is not, I'm not making fun of Scott. I like these. It is definitely not a lack of ability that keeps us from realizing our visions. It is fear and doubt that stands in our way. Give everything that you have inside of yourself. It will fuel the necessary confidence to pursue and achieve your goals. Let no obstacle keep you from reaching your desired destination. I got to think there's a little Jalen Brunson flavor there. Little bit. Kings workouts earlier today. Here they were. Bruce Thornton, BJ Edwards, Fletcher Lawyer, Kobe Knox, Tucker DeVries, and Baba Miller. Good name, Baba O'Reilly. I like that. So let's get to your comments, and then I'm going to open up someplace, probably the last place that you thought I would open up on this Monday. It was such an interesting weekend because this news starts leaking out. So TMZ puts a report out on Thursday night. Was it Thursday night? No, it was Friday night. That said that the NBA, or excuse me, the Spurs were going to start revoking tickets if they were purchased outside of 150 miles, because the report earlier had come out that Knicks fans had swooped up anywhere between 50 and 60% of the tickets on the open market. And there were a lot of Knicks fans there Saturday. So, of course, that starts the chain reaction. Like, how's this going to work? And for those that don't know, that is pretty typical boilerplate stuff for the Kings and other NBA teams. It's not irregular for that to be in the small print when you are purchasing tickets. However, it is highly irregular for them to retroactively start ripping tickets back. If it wasn't enforced when you bought the tickets, you don't usually see something that comes up and says, oh, you're going to be getting a refund. Sorry, this was the policy. You didn't see it. So I started digging around. I talked to somebody that had bought tickets for the game, and they showed me proof that they had their tickets revoked. And so I put some stuff out there. Before you know it, the global manager for Ticketmaster is hitting me up on X and saying this is not correct. Now, this was after, by the way, or this was not one thing that was coming from me. Hoop Central or NBA Central was putting it out. They had sources that had their tickets ripped. And so the Spurs ended up walking it back. So they did not do it, but they were in the process of doing it here and there. And I'm not going to say planning on, but they were very much flirting with the idea. And then it got some steam. So good job by all of you. A decent use of social media for something that would have been wrong. If you're not enforcing the rule when you buy the ticket, what can I say? And everybody's like, well, it doesn't matter. You get them through the third or secondary market. Problem is, season ticket holders have to transfer the tickets from Ticketmaster. And a lot of times, season ticket holders do not transfer them to the third-party site. The third-party site facilitates the deal, and then the tickets are transferred from Ticketmaster to the buyer. You have to set up a Ticketmaster account. So long story short, glad that blew over. You could tell heavy Knicks influence in the building. Let's check in with everybody in the chat How we doing? How was your weekend? I can't believe I'm going to start the show, but I got to do it. De'Aaron Fox choked. He was so bad. I didn't know why the coach kept him out there and didn't replace him with another player. Certainly, that would have been a better idea. Will the Spurs keep him? Great question, Dave. We'll get into it. I think it's super unfair what's happening right now. After game 4, you saw things trending like, oh, Fox to this team and Fox here. Brooklyn might take him on. It's so unfair. Those talks aren't happening yet. They're complete BS. And it's a really, whatever you want to call it, a neck jerk reaction, a whiplash reaction. But the problem, and we pointed this out at the end of the week, last week, there's precedent for what happened with De'Aaron in that game. And the questions about De'Aaron and whether it was the best idea with that contract should have been, they were asked on this channel. They were asked by Grant, like, why was the media not looking at that? The Spurs had so little skin in the game with De'Aaron Fox. They gave up nothing to get him. And you could have extended him for a 2-year, with the second year being an option to see how this works out, especially when you have the number 2 pick in Dylan Harper coming onto the team, and nobody anticipated Dylan Harper was going to be as good as he ended up being. But now that really convolutes things, because that is a massive number on the Spurs books for somebody in all likelihood right now on that team that should be coming off the bench. De'Aaron Fox should not be the starter. Mitch Johnson was not going to. Now you're getting me into my opening statements, but Mitch Johnson would have been throwing De'Aaron Fox under the bus to put him on the bench for game number 5. Mitch Johnson was not going to do that. But what Mitch Johnson did was he subbed in Dylan Harper for Foxy way earlier than he had in the series. Brought him in at the 4-minute mark of the first period, 4-minute mark of the third period. So he all but went to that line. And De'Aaron Fox ended up playing, I believe, more minutes than Dylan Harper. By about 5 minutes in game 5. And that is why Mitch Johnson's taken some today and yesterday. Fox and Coach Brown both in the playoffs championships. Dang, that no, it could not have been us. I'm sorry. It would not. It is very unlikely, Elijah, that would have been you. Just got to be real with you, man. Fox couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. What would you want him back on, or would you want him back on the Kings? No, that ship sailed, especially at that price point. I want Coach. Well, you can want. That's cool. That's your opinion. It's just not probably gonna happen. Athena, I'm sorry you feel like I've lost credibility. I really hope you would take into circumstance the unexpected changes that Grant and I have been dealing with. So never said that's not going to happen. There's just a few more important things than my passport and a get together right now. It's making sure we're getting everybody the best content here in Sacramento on a daily basis on a forum that was different than what we were doing before. Yeah, this was around, but there was a lot being poured into our other job, which also included other partners that we don't have on this channel. So I think my basketball credibility is pretty good, but you can take it whichever way you want, Athena. I appreciate you being here. NFL switching the come on segment. Stop it, Adam, especially when you weren't here this last week. Mike Brown should have never been fired. Yeah, for sure. Look, Mike Brown definitely, here's the thing. After he got his extension, he dug in his heels a little bit more than he had in previous seasons in Sacramento with the players. And I bet if you asked Mike Brown retroactively, he would probably tell you he was a little too transparent and open with the media. He probably would have liked to walk some of that back. But yeah, he should still be the coach of the Kings. I mean, I don't know that things could be any worse. So he needs to get it together. I'm not taking away from what he accomplished with the Kings, but his habit showed of him perfecting his shooting and awareness. What's up, Flores? Happy Monday. All right. Yeah, Mikael Brown, you know who we're going to talk about later. De'Aaron Fox scored 7 points. He was 3 of 15 field goals. He's 1 of 8 for 3-pointers in game 5. The Spurs did not sign De'Aaron Fox to shoot threes. It's not why they signed him. And by the way, I want to be super clear. The Spurs did not lose the series because of De'Aaron Fox. There were many other things. Wemby was completely gassed. The Spurs have to look themselves in the eye, and they've got to look in the mirror and realize you've got to play Wemby more minutes in the regular season, whether you like it or not. I know there's talk about he needs to put some weight on. He put a little bit of weight on during this past off season, but by the time you got to game 25, game 30, it was gone. So how do you keep a little more weight on him? I don't think you want to put a tremendous amount of weight on Wemby, but here's what I would say. And we're talking about a 22-year-old, by the way. That's what's insane about this. A 22-year-old. LeBron James lost a finals at 22, and look at how much changed with LeBron. Wemby does not have that go-to in his game yet. And by go-to, I mean like that is his thing. That's his spot. That's his shot. This is what Wemby wants to get to every single time. When the game's on the line, you got to make sure Wemby doesn't do that thing. He doesn't have it yet. Not irregular for somebody that's 22. And with you take into consideration a body unlike anything we've really ever seen in the NBA, Jerry Reynolds is spot on about the post game. You need to get more of a post game if you're Wemby. That's going to open things up. But what is Wemby's thing going to be? I mean, he really just does a little bit of everything. What is his specialty going to be? Every star in the NBA, you can point to one thing that was just their super talent. And the only thing you can do with Wemby right now is size, recovery on defense, but that's also a byproduct of size. So anyways, a lot of development still there. This team is set up to win so many more championships in the future. This is only going to make them better. And Mitch Johnson, a young coach, it's going to make him better as well. Lynn, go Spurs, go. Yeah, there you go. What's up, Daniel? Yeah, putting in the work, trying to, speaking of the work, Grant and I are going to be back tonight at 7:00. So join us then. Be doing our Monday show. Rolling our sleeves up to our freaking necks around here with content. The new, by the way, King's Court podcast has dropped. And when I mean new, it's not just one episode. We've changed the format of the podcast. So if you can't catch the live show, if you don't have an hour and a half to sit down and join us on YouTube and X, check out the audio version. What we've done is it's kind of a best of from the day, and then you get some different exclusive things that are on that format. Spotify, Apple, Amazon podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So we launched the first 2 episodes of that last week. You'll have another one coming out today. What's up, BJ? Happy Monday. Jay, Ryno, who do you think the Kings should draft? Kingston Flemings or Keaton Wagler? I don't think Wagler's going to be there. So it's not really, if Wagler's there, it's a good question. We'll get into it in a little bit because I talked to a scout again this weekend. I was able to talk to a different scout. What was it, everybody? It was probably 5 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. I talked to a scout this week and a different one, and we're going to compare and contrast some of the things with the players that he said. Honestly, I think we held Fox. Yeah, dude, you're right, BJ. Kings fans, we all do that. Every fan base, to a degree, does that. You overvalue the players that you have. Absolutely. Especially when you're the biggest show in town, like the Kings are. All right, let's get to the rundown now that we have gotten to all of you. Can't believe I'm going to start here, but I am, because this is where we were at on Monday. I had to tell you about this thing. So I've got a little routine, like once a month. I got to get to Target, got to pick up my meds, got to get a few things for the house, right? And there's this line that's just around the Elk Grove Target. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like 10 a.m. And turns out Pokemon was releasing a new set, or whatever you want to call it. Set. Adam, help me out here. What do they call them? A different set, a different collection of cards. So people have been camped out all night for this. So we talked about cards and Pokemon a little bit on Friday. And then this Sunday, so I was not at the house, but my wife calls me and she's like, "You're not going to believe what just happened." And I'm like, "Is everything okay? Like, Liam good? What's happening?" And she's like, "I just heard our son scream out like he broke a bone." And I run in there. This kid had he had 4 different boxes of unopened Pokemon cards from his birthday. That was in October. This kid just beats to his own drum. So if he wants to open something, then he's going to open it. He saved them from October. And he opened a blaster box. This kid got the number 1 chase card in the entire set from a blaster box, which is why I couldn't believe it. It came from a freaking blaster box. Like one in, when I did the Google search on it, like 1 in every 900 packs. It had been sitting there all along. So yes, we are getting this graded. That is an expensive card. I'm like, and here was the funny thing. He wanted to open, he had an entire collector's box or hobby box of the same set. I'm like, dude, don't open it. You have the number 1 chase card right there. Don't open it. But he did anyways. So you're not here for that, but I had to give that update when it came to series. Thank you. Series. That is what it's called. Disney Chrome this Wednesday. So I had to give you the update on that. The fact that came from a blaster box is absolutely insane. All right. If anybody has the right to be more bent right now than San Antonio, it has to be Portland fan. Absolutely has to be Portland fan. We talked about Tom Dundon, the new owner.
Welcome to the world of extreme cheapskates.
Really trying to cut costs in Portland, doing ridiculous things. In fact, we did a segment where we helped the owner for a day on how we could help that franchise save money while doing the right things when it comes to your basketball team. Well, Tiago Splitter, the dude that kept things between the lines, that kept the train on the tracks when Chauncey Billups was indicted for gambling federally, took the Blazers to the playoffs this season. He is going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. How's that taste, Portland fan? I guarantee you that Portland locker room is pissed. If I could get my guy Chad in Portland on this show, I would, to talk about this. Tiago Splitter did a fabulous job. Tiago Splitter was not a guy that you were going to have to pay a tremendous salary to. And now he's gone. Like, what is Tom Dundon doing? Commish, where are you? Fellow owners, get this dude in line. Like, if there was a list of things that Portland could not afford to lose this year, that's one of them. He wasn't asking for Tyronn Lue's salary. He didn't want to be the highest paid coach in the NBA. He just wanted a fair salary. That's it. So Chicago, congratulations. He's a damn good coach. Modest Bucelis, a lot of those guys are going to benefit from that. And Tom Dundon, shame on you, my man. Shame on you. How you let that man walk. It's insane. Ryan, does Tom Dundon run his NHL team like the Blazers? I understand he's celebrating a championship right now on the NHL side. I get it. But you can't compare how an NHL team is run to an NBA team. The only thing in common is they're both professional teams. Besides that, there's different standards, there's different comps, there's different numbers that are, there's places you don't cut corners. Let's put it that way. That's the problem. Maybe there's areas on the NHL side you can cut corners, whereas on the NBA side you can't, and vice versa. He's cutting corners everywhere. You want to cut corners in the front office and the staff, the office staff, it's kind of unsavory, but that's your choice. But to want to say for a team that has been on a rebuild that has gone really, really well, actually, over the last couple of years, and to be probably a bit of ahead of schedule making the playoffs, to try to cheap out on the coach that has command of the locker room, that the guys want to play with, like, you're almost setting your team back. Do you even care about your players' happiness? Doesn't appear so. So Tom Dundon has lost Tiago Splitter. We'll see if Doug Christie becomes the second lowest paid coach in the NBA once Portland makes their hire. Crazy stuff. We talked about it at the top. Congratulations to the New York Knicks.
Remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
Just the clunkiest of games. The Knicks come out and cannot throw a pea in the Pacific. In the first half, they shot, ready for this? 4 of 22. 4 of 22. However, what has San Antonio's Achilles heel been? It's either their strength or their weakness. What got them their big lead in game 4? 3-point shooting. What did San Antonio come out and do? They shot 11 threes in the first quarter. 27.3%. So you have a Knicks team that shot it at 18.2% with Cat in foul trouble that only scores 13 points, and you put up 23 points. San Antonio, you get into the second quarter and the Knicks still are not shooting well, but San Antonio only has 31 points. And you can argue probably some nerves, right? I get that. But San Antonio's been really good with their back against the wall. They were 3-0 before that game in elimination games this postseason. But Jalen Brunson, holy bleep, what can you say about Jalen Brunson? He scored 45 points. The rest of the Knicks scored 49. The NBA is so lucky to have a guy like this in its biggest market who is now an NBA champion and a finals MVP. Because there is nothing special about Jalen Brunson. From his size, from his speed, his athletic ability, there's nothing special. But you know what is extraordinary special? His work ethic. This guy was a second-round pick. This dude will not be denied. You need one of those guys to be at the top of your league where it's like, damn. For those kids that, might not be the tallest, might not be the most athletic, seeing Jalen Brunson will this team to an NBA championship, that's for all them. Those kids have somebody to look at and say, damn, he's an NBA champion. What a game by Jalen Brunson. The Knicks close this thing out. They get their first championship in over 50 years. Just unbelievable stuff. I did not really doubt for a second that this one was going to go this way. You just saw the writing on the wall. The Spurs, Steph Castle, did not have a good game. Heck, Karl Anthony Towns played an awful game. He was terrible in this one. And Mike Brown, we talked about him a little bit earlier. What the heck can you say about this guy? To go from Vivek Ranadive to James Dolan, championship or bust, and guess what? There's that championship. Not only did the Knicks win the championship, the Knicks did it in a style that was dominant. I know the runway to get there was not that difficult. However, what you need to acknowledge is just sometimes when you are not, where I shouldn't say when you're not, but you're playing more than just the opponent across from you. Seems like that's what the Knicks did. There's two routes. You can get lazy and look past your opponent and get by, or you can dominate your opponent, even if you are supposed to beat them. And the Knicks made the most of their ride to the NBA Finals. They got on a run. They got locked in during that run that just put them as a team at a place where they were damn near unbeatable. The Spurs only beat them one time. After the Atlanta series, the Knicks have lost one basketball game. So Mike Brown, great job by him. Incredible job by him. And by the way, I want to acknowledge this. There was an awesome moment between Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox in the tunnel. De'Aaron came to seek Mike out, and they shared a hug. They shared some words. So really good stuff by De'Aaron Fox. But here is Mike Brown at the podium.
What you mean?
Hello? Say hello. No?
No?
You
You
want
shy?
to say hello? Okay.
I said hello with you.
He's going to say hello with you.
Some support.
I was going to answer some questions. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. All right. First of all, it's just heck of a win. To have the fans that we have in New York City and be able to bring home a championship after all these years is absolutely amazing. It's a surreal feeling. I don't know how long it's been since that final buzzer went off, but I still don't believe it. I'm pinching myself. I'm telling myself to try to be present. All the stuff that I tell these guys every single day, I'm trying to do because I can't believe it. I'm happy for Mr. Dolan, happy for Leon Rose, Chris Gent. By the way, there are a lot of jobs open out there. Chris Gent, my associate head coach, I am surprised he has not gotten an interview. He won the Summer League championship this past summer. He's our offensive coordinator. He's our associate head coach. He's been around for a long time. You guys, somebody needs to give him an interview because he will help your team win at the highest level. But Chris Gent, Rick Brunson, Brendan O'Connor, Darren Ehrman, TJ Saint, Ricky Foy, I can go on with my staff. They carried me all year. And then our players. Our players are great. I mean, you can see it now. These guys are fantastic. I love them all. They had been ready from day one, and not just our top 5, but 1 through 18 have been ready for day one. You guys saw it. We called on different guys at different times, and every time we called on somebody, they stepped up. So I love my players, love the organization, but more importantly, let's go New York. Let's go New York. We can't wait to get back home to celebrate.
Celebrate, they did. They were met at the airport. Did you know the Knicks have never had a championship parade? When they won their title in the 70s, there was a ceremony, I believe, at City Hall, but they never actually got their parade. So they will have their parade. Interesting enough. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. From Mike Brown, he just wears his emotions on his sleeve. He doesn't care. This is how he met media day.
Let the dogs out. Woo, woo, woo. Who let the dogs out? Woo, woo, woo.
And then he comes in, he's doing an interview, and he starts talking about that, about coaching flag football and how the kids started doing the chant. And so that's how it carried over. It's just, I'm so happy for him. It's a great stuff. If you're a Kings fan, I feel bad for you if you're bent that Mike Brown has a championship. And I feel bad for you if you're bent that De'Aaron Fox made it to the finals, because they were completely different situations. The one thing that the two situations have in common is they were both moves directly made by Vivek Ranadive. So if you want to talk about these two being in the finals, look at him. Those weren't Monty McNair moves. Those were Vivek Ranadive moves. So we can talk more about the finals as the show goes along. I definitely want to talk about De'Aaron Fox more. I don't think what he is getting publicly right now is fair. I think the criticism of the decision-making in Game 4 is fair. His performance in Game 5 is fair. You know, De'Aaron looked to me in Game 5 like he mentally was not right. He looked shook with his confidence right out the gate. He got the ball at the top of the key with like 5 seconds on the shot clock. And instead of shooting it, he threw it over to Steph Castle. Threw him a grenade. And Steph had to shoot the 3 and missed. This is something that's hard to recover from. It is. De'Aaron is going to have to. And, you know, he'll tell you he doesn't pay attention to the noise, but the record would show that's not always the case. So I'm not going to do it now, but I want to get into the middle ground of what this offseason is going to be like and what's coming his way and what's coming the Spurs way about his contract should have been really coming that way since the day it was signed. That was a very, very risky move for the Spurs knowing that they had Wemby, knowing what they had in Steph Castle at that point, not knowing exactly what you had in Dylan Harper, who Mitch Johnson says is as talented of a guard as he has ever been around. And the kid, literally a kid, can't even buy a beer, 20 years old, started off in the league this year as a 19-year-old. But that big commitment to make to a player like De'Aaron with the money he is now owed that's just starting to kick in right now. World Cup, have you been watching it? I have actually been kind of into the World Cup. I have enjoyed it. Team USA came out and did exactly as much as they could to get this nation excited about their chances of possibly competing for a World Cup championship. I don't know if that's going to bear out, but to come out and have a dominant victory in their opener at SoFi. And by the way, how about that? Did you see the stadium? The grass looked beautiful. That was the first actual home game in the history of SoFi Stadium. Everybody or most people were rooting for the home team. Good job by you, fans in LA, even though those tickets were through the roof expensive. SoFi doesn't host many home games, believe it or not. That was one of them. So if you want to talk about the World Cup, we can hit that. And then what about this last night? This was quite the spectacle. I watched a few of the fights, the UFC Freedom 250 card. Crazy. Just crazy. Yeah, I use that term, Jay Play Days. I like that, Jay's Play Days. I used that term on our post-game show on Saturday. I said sometimes it's addition by subtraction, and you're not wrong there. But UFC, did anybody catch the card last night? Did you catch the main event fight? Dude, Justin Gaethje, how about his performance? And how about the production? I knew this fight was obviously going to be at the White House. I had no idea that the military band would be playing most of the entrance songs for the fighters. And I also had no idea that the fighters' lockers were going to be inside the damn White House. Did anybody see Justin Gaethje in the Oval Office beginning his walkout? From the Oval freaking Office, looking at stuff on the wall. Gaethje was on Prize Picks, a 4-1 underdog. But knowing who Gaethje is, where he comes from, it's like, this guy's going to show up. And by gosh, he did. And there's a lot of controversy. Had he lost that fight, we would be talking about a big controversy today, because his opponent, who was the favorite, could not see out of one of his eyes because Gaethje had gotten him pretty good. His eye was almost swollen shut. And so the doctor comes in, and the doctor is like, no, he can't go in between rounds. Fight's over. And the rest of not Gaethje's crew, but the fighter's crew is like, no, he's good. And they let him go out for another round. And he made it through that round barely, but Gaethje gave him a massive knee to the ribs. And that was it. The corner threw in the towel. So the table is set for today's King's Court. What do you want to talk about? Don't forget, Grant and I are back at 7 o'clock tonight. Harper shouldn't be complaining, but the coach wasn't doing his job either. Harper was better for the Spurs than Fox. Can't disagree with you. I can't. You know, Grant talked about it on Saturday night, and we talked about it on Friday. I got skewered for a good 6 months, I want to say. 6 months. The summer of 2024, when the whole talk was, is De'Aaron going to take the extension with the Kings or not? And the Foxies, I had to fight them off with my crutches. So that was like right around when I was doing my hip surgeries. Foxies were coming out of nowhere fighting me off because I said he's not a number one. Like, that's just not who De'Aaron is. He wants to be a number one, but it doesn't translate. And so many people here in Sacramento, so many of the Foxies were like, yeah, oh no, he's an all-star, he's a star in the league. And it's like, no, he's better as being that guy that plays with the one. And we went through this whole thing. And so seeing the contract that he has now with San Antonio arguably is in a hole. I don't know if you're San Antonio, because I go back to how De'Aaron Fox, again, a unilateral Vivek Ranadive move. It's what it was. Monty McNair was not part of that deal. That was Vivek Ranadive. Vivek Ranadive decided that he was going to do better by De'Aaron Fox than he was going to do better by his franchise and his fan base, by only talking with one team about a De'Aaron Fox trade. Because Rich Paul, who's on record now saying it, told De'Aaron San Antonio is where you need to go. You need to go to San Antonio. So I've said I don't want to be a smartass on this. I want to be straight. Like, Vivek Ranadive did whatever he could to get Fox to San Antonio. And you know what it came with? It came with Zach LaVine. You couldn't get a single player from San Antonio. So San Antonio, other than Fox's, what was left on his contract, other than that, they were playing with house money. They had the opportunity this season to try De'Aaron Fox out with this group and decide this offseason if you wanted to extend him. But instead, and even if you extended him, and I want to also say this is not just a De'Aaron Fox thing. Like, if they brought in a player that was in that gray area when it comes to, is he the number one guy for a team? Can he be that guy? Or is he more of a 1B? Especially coming off of, outside of De'Aaron's couple of weeks where he had the 2 monster games here in Sacramento and he was actually getting to the paint and spraying the ball and everything opened up for the Kings. Outside of that, he had really settled here in Sacramento. He chose the 3 over getting to the rim most nights. And so, like, if I'm San Antonio, before I'm paying somebody, putting them on a 4-year contract, I believe it is. Let's look really quick. It is, before I'm putting him on a 3-year extension that next year pays 51, 55, and 59.1 in its final year, you could have seen how he fit with this group, because you had a very small sample size of how he fit with that group, because remember, he opted for the finger surgery after the trade. And so at the time, Jerry Reynolds and I, Grant and I, were like, is San Antonio going to extend him? Like, could he be the odd man out in San Antonio? And when we saw the contract, we're like, holy crap, that's a big commitment. It's a huge commitment. And now, at that money, I don't know if San Antonio can move him. If you are, and I ask this seriously, if you're a team, let's bring up a team that's been in the news that's going to be rebuilding, Milwaukee. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, under this CBA, knowing that you can only have really one of those contracts on your books, unless they're guys that you've drafted and they're homegrown where their extensions do not go against the tax, like, is that the guy? Like, would you want to take on De'Aaron for 3 years at over 100 and almost 200 million? San Antonio really could be stuck, possibly. And I'm not saying they're going to trade him. I think it's been a rush to judgment, and I feel bad for De'Aaron in that sense. These reports, he could be traded here, he could be traded there. This team wants him, that team. Stop. San Antonio is days out from their season ending. Like, there's no way that decision has even been pondered. But if that's the way you're going, I don't know that you can get fair value. Because what De'Aaron Fox are you going to get? You're not paying 51, 55, and 59 for a De'Aaron Fox who is going to live beyond the three-point line and settle for mid-range jumpers. You're paying 51, 53, or 55, and 59 for De'Aaron Fox, who's getting into the paint, who's getting his floater up, who's able to spray the ball out, who's able to get to the free throw line. And now San Antonio with Dylan Harper, who is, when it's all said and done, Dylan Harper, and take into consideration, if Dylan Harper plays a large chunk of his career in San Antonio and Wembanyama also plays a large chunk of his career in San Antonio, Dylan Harper is going to be, hot take, he is going to be a Hall of Famer. He is 20 years old. He has more composure. He wants that smoke, number one, and he has more composure than a lot of the other veteran guards that are on that team. And so now you are at that impossible crossroads, if you are the San Antonio Spurs, of looking at the possibility of De'Aaron Fox next season coming off the bench, being paid that kind of money. It's insane. Crazy. Knicks run Chris Junt's system. Mark, that would be you. I guess I can talk smack. I'm not a Kings fan. Sure, you can talk a little smack. You can always talk smack as long as it's fun. Your hot take of the month. What was the hot take? Expansion team. Well, he's a Christie. Okay, not sure which way we're going. Curry said the same thing about himself. What did Curry say? Mike Brown hasn't made it to the conference finals or NBA finals without Chris Gent. Okay, let's not play this game. I hate this game. Okay, well, Chris Gent isn't on the staff if Mike Brown's not the head damn coach. Come on. Are we going to do this? Give Mike Brown some damn credit. That's not the first time this postseason he's talked about, like his assistants getting jobs and wanting them to get interviews. He wants them to promote. What about Jordy Fernandez over in Brooklyn? Damn, man. Cutthroat group here today on the Kings court. Holy moly. Here is a part of the trophy presentation from
now
Game
at
5.
center court for the presentation of the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and the 2026 Bill Russell NBA Finals Most Valuable Player Award. Here is ABC's Ernie Johnson.
Thank you very much. If you are a basketball fan, man, we just saw something pretty special, didn't we? And I know it is trophy time, but before that, can we acknowledge the great season and the great playoff run by the Western Conference champions, the San Antonio Spurs? But now it's all about these guys. And to present the Larry O'Brien Trophy to the 2026 NBA champions, here's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver.
"53 years. The wait is over." To Jim Dolan, Leon Rose, William Wesley, Coach Brown, and this incredible team, congratulations. You're the 2026 NBA champion.
We'll get to Jalen in a second. Oh my goodness. James Dolan celebrating a title. All right, so ESPN has come out with player comps and also an updated mock draft. So I thought we would run through this and we'll talk a little bit about my conversation this past weekend with a scout. AJ DeBonsa, Jaylen Brown, supercharged. On the high end, what do you think about that? Do you see Jaylen Brown and AJ DeBonsa? And then as for the low end, RJ Barrett. Okay. Interesting. Darren Peterson. High end, Damian Lillard. I couldn't disagree with that more. Low end, Jamal Murray. I don't see it. Anybody see that? I don't see that. I would be closer on high end to be leaning toward Darren Peterson is not as agile from side to side as Damian Peters or as Damian Lillard. I was thinking more like high, like super high end, maybe Anthony Edwards. I hate comps. These are not usually my thing. But I do want to see, based off of the conversations we've had around here about comparing some of the players that the Kings might pick, what those comps might be. Cameron Boozer, Kevin Love, high end. Look at the low end. Sabonis Sabonis with a better 3. Okay. All right. Interesting. Caleb Wilson, who has really risen up the ranks in this draft. Believe it or not, he has had a great quote unquote draft season. High end, Pascal Siakam, but he's bouncier. Low end, John Collins. All right, we're getting to a point guard. Keaton Wagler. High end, slower paced Tyrese Halliburton. I could not disagree with that more. Low end, Andrew Nembhard with less defense. That is a very, very wide margin. That's that is a hot and cold type of difference. I don't see Keaton. Okay, if you're going to talk about the floor vision, yes, and putting slower paced Tyrese Halliburton is not fair because, like, have you ever seen the movie? What's the movie? Zootopia. Have you seen Zootopia? Where they're at the DMV and the sloth is translating, or not translating, but completing the transaction. He's just barely moving. That would be the slow end. That slow with a Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe Wagler has the floor vision, but he is not going to be elusive or as elusive as Tyrese Halliburton. Darius Acuff. Uh-oh. Jalen Brunson. High end. NBA champion. NBA Finals MVP. Okay. Mike Bibby. That's not a bad. It's not a terrible range. Acuff proved to be a scoring-minded point guard. I don't know. Well, we won't know until he's in the NBA. But Mike Bibby is an interesting one. All three levels, yes. Though some have drawn comparisons to Trae Young. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of how Trae Young plays. But the Kings, okay, let's talk about Acuff really quick before I get into my conversation with a scout this weekend. Acuff, well, did you guys hear it? So we played this on Friday. Let's play this really again. This was Acuff talking to Draymond Green on his podcast.
Yourself as a guy that's coming in like, no, I want to guard my position. How do you look at it?
Yeah, that's how I've always been. You can ask any of my coaches in college, no matter, how much like my defense, mistakes that I made every night, if they tried to put me on a 2 or a 3, I'm like, man, I'm not guarding no 3. Like I play the point, man. I'm guarding the point guard, man. Like, especially if it's like a matchup. Like you not, like if I'm not guarding you, you not guarding me. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no matchup. We just hooping out here. So I'm definitely one of the guys. I like to guard my matchup for sure because I don't want nobody to get off, more than me. So
you come into.
How do you feel about that comment? I'm not sure how I feel about that comment. I like the competitiveness, but at the point guard position, does that sound like what Doug Christie wants?
Right off the bat, point guard, this is in this league, if you don't have that position, you really don't have a chance. It's the quarterback. It's, they say quarterback in football and different things, and that's a tough position. But this one is about as difficult as it gets. This is, you're running a team, you're running a show, you're responsible for the guys on the court. You're quarterbacking the defense, you're quarterbacking the offense. This guy needs a shot, that guy needs a shot. When do I need to do my thing? What does the coach want? Am I representing him the right way out here? I'm the head of the snake. There's a lot that goes into that.
The last that I have heard, and I will go on the record saying this, the last that I have heard, the likelihood as we sit today on Monday, June 15th, is low that the Kings would move up for Acuff. I know that has been widely reported that the Kings would or are looking to move up for Acuff. I have been a big proponent of the Kings rather trying to get back into the first round and keeping the 7th pick. We're going to look at the mock draft here in a second that ESPN put out. These are just the player comparisons. But as we sit today, I would not expect the Kings to move up. Now, everything can be different tomorrow. Could be different Wednesday, could be different next Tuesday, the day of the draft. But it is not sounding like, at least from what I am hearing, that moving up is high on the priority list. So take that for what it's worth. Kingston Flemings. High end, De'Aaron Fox. Low end, Brandon Knight. I don't see. Okay, and this is great. I'm so glad this is here because this is exactly this is exactly what when we talked about it the first time with the scout, this is exactly the two names that I got. And I got a third name as well, Mike Conley. But many evaluators like Fleming's intangibles and his defensive chops, and they have him compared to De'Aaron Fox, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. The back end, those two back ends are the ones that I really like as guards who can run the offense, make shots, and play defense. See, I would have Fleming's, and you can't put him in the Mike Bibby category because the three-point shot is still very much unknown with him at this point. And Mike was not a great defender. So, yeah, that's not really a good comp. But the last two, Derek White and Drew Holiday, and remember, those are high end. I see him as closer to those two rather than De'Aaron. I get why they're doing De'Aaron because of the speed and the unknown three shot. How about Mara from Michigan? Brooke Lopez on the high end, low end, Andrew Bogut. Okay. Guy we'll talk about today. Mikel Brown Jr. from Louisville. High end, a smaller LaMelo Ball. Low end, D'Angelo Russell. That worries me. See what the scout had to say. Got my notes pulled up. Ament, Harrison Barnes, Zaire Williamson, Brandon Burries, a guy that Jerry Reynolds has talked about a lot as of late. Less athletic, high-end Derek White, low-end Quentin Grimes. Okay. All right. So that gets us through the point guards. Let's go to the mock draft here really quick. And then, I'll just tell you. The mock draft has the Kings taking Mikel Brown Jr., which is really interesting to me because Fleming's is still on. Here we go. Let's move into this. Fleming's, it's basically, they have it as a decision. They have Acuff going at 6. And then Wagler going at 5 to the Clippers. And then for the Kings, between Fleming's and Mikel Brown Jr., they have the Kings taking Mikel Brown Jr. I disagree. I think it would be Fleming's. I think it would be Fleming's in that case. But we will see. All right, let's get to the conversation. This was a really fun conversation. And we talked about all 3 players in this area. So let's start with, and I'm going to kind of summarize. Yeah, his stock is going up for sure. But I think it is more volatile. It's the size. I think the size plus what he has done postseason and into draft season, now up until the draft, the size is what's intriguing there. I just, this team, and I'm not saying Mikel does not have basketball IQ, but I just think Fleming's basketball IQ is so high. And this team has been missing basketball IQ across the board. You have players with it, but like team IQ has not been great. And it starts with the point guard. I'm going Fleming's all day and trying to get back into. Stop it, Peter. Peter, don't do it. I'm going to curse you.
Let me finish. I was going to say, you are cursed.
Peter's going to wake up congested tomorrow because of that. Don't do it, Peter. Do not do it. We're looking for positivity. We are not looking for toxicity.
You are toxic.
You know, Flores, it's not... It's better than it seems. Yeah, the Kings this season started off small. Before the season started, when we were covering training camp, I spoke to somebody that is in the front office, and the one thing they were concerned about was size, 100%. But now that Dylan Cardwell has panned out some, now that you're hoping this team is not going to be nearly as injured as they were before, I think you're in a better spot. And you've got Hunter as well for this season. You're coming in at a better spot than you were last season. All right, let me get to the scout stuff really quick, okay? All right, size and athleticism. These are my notes based off the conversation. Brown has the best size and length. He's taller with a longer wingspan and has the advantage there. That translates to seeing over defenses a little bit easier with some more versatility, a more smooth and controlled athlete versus Fleming's and Acuff. Okay. Fleming's quick burst with excellent explosiveness. And here's an important one: change of speed. Some of the best point guards that Jalen Brunson is excellent at this. Your true point guards, the change of speed is so important. And here's a guy that I am going to directly comp that to, that almost everybody on this stream will know: Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby was not the biggest point guard, but he was excellent with change of speed. And with the change of speed comes with knowing how to use your body. You know, so commonly when Mike would get by a guy, that's when he would slow it down and he'd get his body in front of the defender and almost be able to stop on a dime, and the defender would run into him. And now Mike's putting up a shot and getting fouled, and he was really good at focusing on the shot while taking the contact. And same can be said of Jalen Brunson. There are ways, if you are smaller, to use that to your advantage. And change of speed was something we talked about. More vertically explosive in some evaluations. Okay. Acuff, more compact but powerful and physical, strong body control, shiftier and more downhill force, for what that's worth, than Mikel Brown. Okay. Let's go to shooting. Brown, high volume, 3-point shooter. Better, much better with the off the dribble pull-ups. Fleming, unknown. In college, 38.7%, but moderate value. Strong mid-range touch. Okay. Acuff, excellent efficiency. Pull-ups, floaters, and then contested makes. That was the one thing that he had over the other two. This one's important to me. scoring, creation, and finishing. Brown, perimeter oriented, high pick and roll, efficiency, creative, but relies more on finesse. Okay. Fleming's blazing slasher with quick burst, has a 3-level feel, and a strong mid-range. So that was an interesting one to me. Has a 3-level feel, because you don't know. Again, go back to the 3-pointer. It's the, you don't know. Will he be 3-level? But you don't necessarily, here's the thing, man. You don't need a point guard that's shooting the 3-ball a ton. In fact, I would argue you don't want a point guard that's shooting a 3-ball a ton. Point in case, Russell Westbrook this last season. Playmaking, slight edge goes to Fleming's. Okay. So quote with Brown. Okay. This is a direct quote from the scout. Cerebral distributor. Direct quote from the scout on Fleming's. Poised. Low turnovers. Acuff. Direct quote. Score first guard. Defense, two-way impact. Brown, good awareness and anticipation. Limited by frame. Fleming's, aggressive, strong two-way profile. Active on defense. Acuff, unknown. Lateral quickness, solid, but not elite. Okay. Production, durability. Brown, fewer games to evaluate. Field goal efficiency based on sample size lower. Fleming's, sorry, you see how I'm like kind of with my notes, I'm trying to be to the point as much as I can. Fleming's, most efficient of the group. Balanced production is what he said. And Acuff, raw output. So high usage. Upside, floor, and fit. Fleming's, high floor to do it all. Brown, he's more of a, this was a quote, modern NBA archetype. And then Acuff, score first with star potential. If decision making and defense sharpen. So there you go. Those were kind of the summary of what they had to say. And really not that far off from the other scout that we had talked to, and not that far off from some of the stuff that I've been saying off of my evaluation of the players. So, what do you think? Let me know. Holler at me. Question. What's up, Stan? Hope you're having a good Monday. My pick is Flemings. I think Kingston Flemings makes the most sense for the Kings and where they're at. If I'm going off of Scott Perry's pillars and I'm going off of all that, I would tell you this: it feels like the Kings, if you believe the reporting, with how high they are on ACUF, it feels like they think there's a big ceiling there with ACUF. My question is, one, how high does the ceiling go, but also the fit with the group that you currently have? Because you do have to take into account fit. So, yeah, I would like to see Kingston Flemings, and I would also like the Kings, if they could, to get back into the first round. Could they get in there between 18 and 24? Could Carson Carr still possibly be available? It would be a really good thing for them. Solid thing for them, for sure. So, yeah, that was the Scouts take. Now yours. Let me know. My pleasure. ACUF was taken at 5 and Wagler at 6. Yeah. Well, I think that's what the choice is going to come down to. I don't. Here's the thing, and again, I've been saying it for the last week. If you trade up to get ACUF, you have to be sure. Let me put it this way. We think about second round picks, right? It's like, it's just second round pick. Well, a second round pick got you Max Ryno last draft, who's in his second team All NBA player. So it's not just a second round pick. That could be a really good player. It could be an NBA champion and finals MVP, Jalen Brunson, second round pick. But if you trade up to get a guy, you are now doubling the pressure on that player. You are doubling the pressure on your front office, and you are doubling the expectation of this fan base on what that player is going to do. You have to be, and maybe Scott Perry and that front office is sure that kid's going to pan out and, be a Damian Lillard, as they put. Jerry Reynolds at one time made a comp like super high side to a Kyrie Irving. You've got to be like really sure in your eyes that that's what's going to happen. Because it could set back a rebuild a little bit. And then I think the most, and I know it's drafting best available, that is what is most important. I asked Scott at Exits. Let me see if I have it. Do we have it? I asked Scott at Exit Interviews about that. I don't think I have it here. No, I do not. I asked Scott at Exits about the strategy, and it is going to be best available. Even if it is best available, you have to take into account fit too. Where does it fit? So we will see. We've got just over a week until the draft. Looking forward to it. We're back tomorrow. By the way, I believe tomorrow we are going to have Lorenzo Powell on the show. If you don't know him, he is a boxer and a damn good one from Sacramento. He's going to be fighting this Saturday at Memorial Auditorium. They're putting on a big event there. We are likely going to have Lorenzo on the show tomorrow, so look for that. Jerry Reynolds on Wednesday, and then wrestling on Friday. So we've got a full week ahead. Before any of that, y'all know what it is. 7 o'clock tonight, Grant and I will be back and doing our Monday night show, kicking off the week. Plenty to talk about between the Hurricanes getting their Stanley Cup, NBA, De'Aaron Fox, Backlash, and all that's going on, and the World Cup. So appreciate y'all for being here. We'll be back here in a couple hours. Make sure you give us a like. Would really appreciate it. And please download the new version of the audio podcast. We're doing like a best of when it comes to that. So we get you in, we get you out, we give you the highlights, not so much minutia, and some exclusive stuff over there as well. So yeah, the show's over. We're out, man. It's 4:30. It's 90 minutes. Straight talk. Appreciate you guys. We hit it at the top. Awful decision for Portland. Terrible decision for Portland to let him walk. Can't imagine the players in that locker room are very happy at all. All right. See you at 7 o'clock. Have a great rest of your Monday. Grant and I will be back. Kings Court. We out.